What's up, guys? How we doing? We got the MXGP show. Tim Gajser hit a booby trap out there. Seriously, there was a booby trap on the outside of the track. Coenen made history as the youngest rider to ever win a MXGP in the 450 class. And Langenfelder looked perfect out there in the 250 class. If you haven't tried Nano-Xtreme, I strongly recommend it. This stuff is so good. It helps with pain, nerve pain. I've never had a pain solution this good. Use code COOKSY, head over to Nano-Xtreme and get free shipping. I'm telling you, if you have pain, this is what you need. If you have a young athlete and you're curious about how to train them without overtraining them, check out Complete Racing Solutions. Coach Rob understands this. He studied this. This is his jam. He knows how to build your athlete for a stronger, more durable future. Head over to Complete Racing Solutions and let Coach Rob help you with your young athlete. Precision Transport, the best shipping company that I've ever come across. Family owned. They genuinely care. There's not a lot of people that care these days and believe in customer service and really responding to you. Precision Transport does. Hit up pretransport.com and the Madden family will take care of you.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So the MXGP race was kind of weird. They had a day off. Typically they'll do their qualifier on Saturday and then they do the motos on Sunday. They took an extra break on Easter Sunday. They took Easter Sunday completely off. So they raced Saturday and Monday. But I'll tell you what, the fans were still there in full force. And they all got to see Tim Gajser, who's had this phenomenal season. He has been riding out of his mind so good. He hit a booby trap. And I'm not kidding when I say it's a booby trap. That's what you could call these markers on the outside of the turn. They have course markers, but then they also put this like hole with like a curb type with dirt on there. And if you hit it out of control, which rarely are you going to go off the track and be in control, you hit this thing and you cartwheel. Who on earth thought of this? And how did it get past so many people? This is the thing with, I talk about safety and issues. The riders and teams need to take responsibility and just stop letting these things exist. I promise you, people saw it. People knew it was stupid. So why aren't they taking and standing up and saying, that has to go, no more? Instead, we wait until this guy having a career year hits one, dislocates his shoulder. Now we're going to take notice? Okay, well, luckily it wasn't worse. But this track had to be the scariest track that I've ever seen. They were going at speeds that was just, it looked like they were on a super motard track, the way they were hauling. They had to have been going upwards of 50, 60 miles an hour in multiple different sections. And the dirt broke down in a weird way. It was super hard packed. A lot of these little rocks in there. One of them busted Roman Fevre's lip open. But the bumps didn't form like, you go to a sand track, you get all these bumps, but they're kind of rounded because it's sand. These were like if you took and jackhammered concrete and left a square edge of concrete on there. That's what this track looked like. You hit one of those concrete curbs going about 50 miles an hour. Yeah, sends you for a loop. And I don't want to come down too hard on the facility because I haven't been there. I don't know what they're working with. I don't know. I'm sure they could have made it safer. But I don't have any suggestions as to why, so I'll probably leave that alone, except for the booby traps. Come on, that's ridiculous. And thank goodness Paul Malin is an announcer with a spine and actually some courage to say what needs to be said. And he said they should be banned for life, 100%. Thank you, Paul Malin, for giving us real insight and analysis that we don't ever get here in America. All we get here in America is adjectives and fluff. Thank you for actually giving us, Paul Malin's a dude that has raced. He had a great career. He won a lot of GPs. He was on the British team that finally stopped the USA in our Motocross to Nations. We won so many times in a row. Paul Malin was on the team that stopped us. The dude knows his stuff. And when he speaks, I listen because I know he's speaking from the heart and he's saying what he thinks. Do I always agree? No. But all I want is authenticity. And what sucks is Coenen had a career day. This is the youngest rider to ever win an MXGP, 18 years old. He wasn't really supposed to move up. Typically, the guys stay in the MX2 class until they're 23 or they've won a few championships. For whatever the reason, maybe he didn't want to race his twin brother, they decided to put him on a 450 this year. I wasn't sure why they were doing that. I felt like he should have been in the 250 class another year, but obviously they knew something I didn't. The kid can ride that 450. He is something special. You know, rarely we come across these guys and you say they're generational talents. Jet Lawrence, James Stewart, Hayden Deegan, and I think you're going to have Lucas Coenen in there with these guys. He is that good. And I know Gajser got hurt in the second moto, but the first moto, Gajser got straight up beat by Lucas Coenen. He pulled up on Lucas, and he's done this to guys all year. He pulls up on them, pushes them, waits for them to make a mistake, and then pounces. The problem is, Lucas never made that mistake. He held it together for the entire race. I think that's part of the reason that Gajser was pushing so hard early in that second moto. He's like, okay, well, Lucas is going at a different pace. He's going at a pace that I'm going to have to get him right now. I can't. I got to go back and grab that extra 10% that I've been saving. And when he did that, he went a little bit off the track. And it would have been fine if there wasn't a booby trap there. But yes, he got hit by that booby trap. And he had such a big lead in this championship. He still has a big lead in this championship. Problem was his shoulder was dislocated for quite a while. I think they said an hour or two. When your shoulder's dislocated, while it's out, it is stretching everything and ruining your shoulder. The faster you can get it back into place, the less damage you will have. I can't believe it took him that long to get his shoulder back into place. This could ruin what started off as a dream season for Tim Gajser. Shoulders are tricky. You know, if he rests, comes back, doesn't have it pop out again, he might be fine. It might not even be an issue. If he comes back, has another issue, hits it wrong, and it dislocates again, it might cost him his entire season. Shoulders are tricky. I would advise be very careful with it. And during these 2 weeks, rehab it and don't push it too hard, and do not add anything that could dislocate that thing again. I would be very careful when you ride in these next 2 weeks. And I would come out the next week, just score points. Go out there and go 5-5 the next race and build, and just make sure you don't re-dislocate that thing. That's my advice to Tim Gajser. He has a big enough point lead that he can actually salvage and do that. Take advantage of it. And second in the championship, Roman Fevre, he didn't go max points to make it up on Gajser. He had a rough day, but he salvaged it, man. He's up on the podium with a busted lip from a rock. He didn't have a good day, but if you can have a bad day and end up second overall, I think when you have a day that bad and you're bleeding from the face and you end up second on the podium, I think Roman Fevre will take that every day of the week. Ducati, we finally had a Jeremy Seewer sighting. Yes, it was a gift because there was absolute triage in that second moto. I mean, those guys, the kickers and guys were tired and they were cartwheeling all over the place. Man, it was a nasty second moto for that GP class. I don't want to take away from what Jeremy Seewer did. Anytime you can get on an MXGP podium on a Ducati, and this was needed. He was under a lot of pressure. Can you imagine being the guy that they paid a whole bunch of money to get Ducati in the mix on the podium and Fantix getting podiums over you? That's not fun to go back to. They needed this. He needed this. However he got it, being a gift or just being the last man standing, doesn't matter. He still got that podium. My question is, can he turn the momentum? They have needed a tide swing over there at Ducati. Is this the tide swing that gets them back into podium contention regularly? Is this where we see what Jeremy Seewer is capable of? Because he's a guy that should be battling inside that top 5 consistently, and that's what they hired him for. I think we're going to see a better Jeremy Seewer moving forward. Check out Ride Strapped, goggles, glasses, shirts. Get your Red Pill shirt. Just a really cool company that I appreciate that supports me. Check out ridestrap.com. Alias MX gear. You guys have bottomed out of almost all their motocross gear. But if you cycle and you need some cycling gear, hit up Alias MX and get yourself some bicycle apparel. AliasMX.com. So Simon Langenfelder, this guy was on it. Now, he wasn't that much better than everybody else, but those top 4 guys between him, DeWolf, Everts, and Adamo, they're clearly the class of the field. And he got out front both motos and took advantage. I think Sasha Coenen had the whole shot in the first moto, but he quickly moved past Sasha and checked out. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. With these 4 guys, any day that you can go 1-1, that's a strong day. I mean, DeWolf, Everts, Adamo. Then you got guys like Camden McClellan and T-Bolt. There's a lot of fast, hungry dudes in that MX2 class. And for Simone to go out there and go 1-1, he made up a lot of points. After the qualifier, it looked like it was going to be Kaida Wolf. He won that qualifier pretty easily, and I expected him. So he's a bigger guy, and when the track gets torn up like it was on hard packed, that's when size becomes an advantage, not a disadvantage. You can use your strength to counter those big bumps. Where the little guys like Sasha Coenen, they hit those curbs, they're just passengers. Big guys with leverage, we can actually take it and settle the bike back down. And when it's hard packed like concrete, power is not the most important thing out there. And when you're big, that's the one thing you sacrifice is power. So I really thought that this was going to be Kaida Wolf's day. I'm sure he's going to be disappointed with his results. And I haven't paid a ton of attention to MXGP in the past years, but I got to give the MXGP fans credit. They bring something special to the table. They seem to understand a lot more what's going on with the riders, and I was trying to figure out why that is. Is it because they have the patriotism? I'm not sure why, but in America, if you're not in the top 3, we don't seem to care about you. Over there, they do. There's signs, there's cheering. They really care about guys all the way through the field, and I think it has to do with the patriotism. I will say this, those European fans, they seem very educated with what's going on, and the enthusiasm they show, it's awesome. Every single one of those races is like Redbud. But I truly think their fans over there might know a little bit more. They follow the story more than we do in the United States. Maybe that's because of Paul Malin. Paul Malin does a brilliant job of telling the stories and giving information, even information the riders might not want out there. He tells you what he thinks, and that's how you get fans. You bring us in on the story. Clearly, the MXGP series is doing something proper with telling these guys stories. I sure wish we could do that a little bit better over here, but until they get rid of Ricky Carmichael, all we're going to get are adjectives like amazing, fantastic, world class. Like, he's just an idiot. Paul Malin makes jokes, and he's funny, and he's just a really brilliant guy on the mic. When he said Lucas Coenen got the whole shot by a week, I just laughed. It was funny because he did. He had like 3 bike lengths, and nobody had 3 bike lengths up until that point. It was just, he makes it fun, he makes it entertaining, and I think I might actually enjoy that broadcast a heck of a lot more than Supercross, even though I am a Supercross. Like, that's my bread and butter. That's the sport I love. It's easier to sit through Paul Malin. He gives us what he actually thinks. That's all I want from my announcers. Authentic. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll be back tomorrow with a current event show. The Carmelo Anthony murder trial has really got me fired up. We had an incident here in Nevada where a teacher, a student that I know, actually, I'll tell you how they encourage racism and the division, and we have got to flip this narrative. Racism has got to go away, and that doesn't just mean white versus black. I'm going to break that all down. Racism is racism. It doesn't matter. Let's stop judging people on what they were born with. I didn't get to choose what I was born. Neither did you. So let's stop judging and start judging on personality characteristics, who you are, what do you hold in favor. Nobody deserves anything for what their race is or what our ancestors had to go through. We are all living our own life here in this day and age, and we should be judged on that. Anyway, thank you, members. I appreciate everything. One of you guys is going to win